yesterday, I got like 20 minutes till sunset. I decide, okay, I'm gonna go ahead and mow my grass. It's getting long. I'm gonna hop on the riding mower. So I got one tire that has a slow leak. I bought the slime stuff at Walmart to try and fix it. I put the slime in, half the can, and then I air the tire back up. I'm ready to go, and then I'm like, oh, the other half of my bottle's gonna go to waste. Let me put it on the other side. Would you believe it? When I go to take off the stupid valve on the other side, the air coming out of the stem shoots the valve across my driveway.
Lost forever.
I spend the next hour with this magnet bar sweeping my driveway, trying to find this valve so I can go mow my grass. Can't find it. Next thing you know, but then I realized I haven't actually moved that you gotta roll your tires back and forth to actually distribute the sealant. So I start rolling it back and forth to distribute the first tire, but then next thing you know, my other tire comes completely off because it doesn't have a valve holding any of the air in. So now I'm left with no tire on the other side, unevenly distributed sealant, and now I have sealant caked all over my second tire because there's no air to push it onto the tire. So now I gotta possibly replace my whole left wheel because I couldn't stand wasting half a bottle of the slime stuff. How mad I am about this.
That would make you really mad.
You know how hard it is to get those wheels off? Have you gotten the wheel off?
No, I mean, I couldn't.
Dude, it's so, if they're press fit, it sucks.
Oh, is that why?
Dude.
Yeah, I couldn't get it off.
It sucks, man.
You're just trying to replace the tire, the rubber.
I mean, I'm going to try and air it back up, but I don't know if I can or not with the way the sealant's caked all over it.
You have to like freaking, I took a sledgehammer once to one, all this crap, and I had it lifted up, and I was like, this is crazy.
So you just let it sit for too long?
Yeah,
while you were
I was
looking for the valve stem?
almost an hour looking for that stupid valve stem. Not just the stem, the little core that goes in the stem.
Yeah, the valve.
It's like minuscule.
Yeah.
Wow.
Thought about taking it off my neighbor's car, but
that's crazy. Well, hey, you know what? Bad news bears. I was only recording for the half of that. So, what's up, everybody? This is Against the Grain podcast. We talk about everything against the grain, philosophical discussions, and practical solutions for the everyday American.
Love it.
I thought one of the best points it made was that like the next phase of capitalism doesn't need to be adding in socialist policies.
Against the grain!
This is for us. This is for the boys.
Oh yeah, what is your medical background?
You got that new gene edit?
Just CRISPR me up, bro.
Give me some sugar, baby.
This is for the fly guys.
This is a complete disaster. The last podcast, we talked a little bit about the electrical grid, and I want to start again with that because I think Jordan has some things he wants to talk about on it. So with that, let's get into Ercot, I guess.
Yeah, so we left off last week or last month or whatever it is with me claiming that if there are widespread power outages, it will not be related to there being a capacity or like a supply and demand issue.
And the listeners absolutely blew you up for that?
All of them. Not more than a week later, headlines took local news and Facebook boomers' algorithms by storm. With claims of brownouts and the inability of the Texas power grid to sustain the demand throughout a hot summer this year. I'm doubling down on my original claims to try to shed some light on why this is completely a fear-mongering deal and why all the Facebook boomers are pointing their fingers in the absolute wrong direction. I'm backing it up with facts and logic, and it's not going to take very long.
Well, I have like 6 tabs, so.
Yep. and we only need a couple points from each one of them.
Let's start by remembering the formula for how power is generated.
I know it, but just for the listeners.
And so,
nice.
And I'm slightly changing up the order because I want to tee up a good example of what type of headline has been going around that we've been getting calls about at Tri-County and what everybody's complaining about and the boomers are freaking out about. So go to the NBC DFW. These are the common headlines. Ercot. Go to the headline up to the top.
Okay, sorry.
Ercot warns of brownouts this summer and forecasts of power grid demand. And if you scroll down, what this lady says is we don't have to hear the audio. If you scroll down it's in the text. What's going on?
In the middle of this, I am trying to record this. So there we go.
Okay,
cool.
gotcha.
All right, go ahead.
Yeah, scroll down just a little bit. Her exact verbiage is in this paragraph, and it says, we're looking for... All right, hold up. We are looking for, while the data in the report is just a prediction, there is concern that demand will outpace the power supply this summer. And this is not what the people said in the press conference with the ERCOT CEO and the Public Utility Commission's chairman, which is what everybody is quoting. All right, that's what started this whole storm. All right, so there was a press conference basically where the ERCOT CEO and the PUC chairman came out and they started making some claims about what's going on the grid, and that started off all these articles where they're saying the term brownout, which they never originally said, and started this verbiage of how the supply will not meet the demand. All right,
Maybe you're gonna talk about this, but what's the report? Was there something that dropped?
Yeah, they always drop every year, and honestly every month. ERCOT drops all kinds of reports on updating people on the status of like the system and how much generation capacity there is versus what their forecasted demand capacity is. For those non-technically minded, load or demand refers to basically how much power is being used by the entire state of Texas. Supply refers to how much can be generated to meet that demand. Okay? Now, I'm going to explain real quick why this is a bunch of fear-mongering and this isn't like actually something that's going to happen. Go to my first tab.
It was this, but I scrolled down.
Okay. Scroll down a little bit more until we get to like the first graphs.
Oh, okay.
This is the graph of 2022 before our very hot summer happened. If you remember, last summer was crazy. They predicted 77,733 megawatts of generation. That's all we needed here, okay? Next.
Interesting.
Next tab.
Oh, next tab? Cool.
So that was the prediction we just looked at.
That was their prediction for what happened, all right? That was their prediction before they knew the summer was going to be so hot. They thought it would be about 77,000. That was going to be the peak. Now open the picture on the left, ERCOT summer peak.
Oh, nice.
82.
82 is the forecasted for this coming summer. 80,000 is what actually happened when they were predicting 77. It actually turned out to be 80,000, and we had our second hottest summer on record with the data set including 1895 to now. We had the second hottest summer on record, and our peak hit 3,000 megawatts above what they said. And now they're lifting even more what they're forecasting to be 82,000. Next tab. All right, this is the summer market review. This is where I'm backing up. Scroll up this page. This is just me backing up what I'm saying. The current all-time peak demand record of 80,000 was set on July 20th between 4 and 5 p.m. That's last year. All-time record for the Texas grid. That's all we need to know. You can read right before that the June to August period, the first paragraph. June to August 2022 was the second hottest on record for the state of Texas. Only 2011 being hotter. Period of record, 1895 to current. Crazy hot summer.
I'm going to try to put this up with
I'm on the edge of my
video.
seat waiting for this supply chart. I need to see some supply, Jordan.
You're going to get supply. Next chart.
Supply me.
Next
Supply. The next chart.
Supplies.
Next tab. Sorry. Next tab. We don't need that.
Cool.
Was the other one the NBC? All right. Yeah.
Yeah, it was.
Now we're going to get to what's actually going on here. Okay.
Want to zoom in here? I don't know how to do that on this.
You can
Control scroll.
No, Control plus is usually it, or Command plus is usually it, but Control
Go ahead.
scroll. Really?
Command. Yeah.
go ahead and go to the last tab there.
Okay.
Yes, this. All right. Here's what was actually said at this press conference with the POC chair and the ERCOT CEO. What they said was, for the first time ever, the forecasted load for this summer, which was 82,000 megawatts, if you remember from that chart, is higher than our dispatchable thermal generation resources. So the sum of natural gas, coal, and nuclear. Those are those three at the bottom. Okay? 53,000 plus 13,000 plus 5,000-ish adds up to around 71,000, and we're forecasting that it could be as much as 82.
I didn't even know we had nuclear here.
We have a couple plants.
So is the reason they talk about those three because those are the ones that they can like reliably predict, whereas solar and wind vary more?
That's correct. Because those are fuel-based.
I should be in power.
Those are those are fuel-based, whereas, solar, wind, or hydro are all like you have to have the resource there. You have to have the wind or the sun blowing. Okay? So they were just pointing out like kind of the statistical significance of the fact that for the first time, ERCOT's forecasted load is actually higher than what the sum of our available thermal or dispatchable generation resources are. What people are missing is that for the last several years, wind has been 15 to 20% of our generation portfolio during summer peak times already. And you can see wind and solar both, they're like a ton on summer capacity, 10 and 12,000 megawatts. They were making that claim, they were just pointing out that statistical significance. The scenario where we would have this super hot like day, because we're basing all these calculations off of what happened in 2022, which was the second hottest summer on record since 1895. We would have to have this extremely statistically improbable day of like, oh, there's not much sunshine, there's not much wind in the panhandle, and we set a record high temperature, and it's on a weekday when the load was for some reason super high, all at the same time, for this to actually happen, where there would have to be brownouts or outages or whatever because of weather. Now, the second point that I'm trying to make is they are concerned about this, the PUC guy and the Ercot guy. That's why they were on the stand talking about this. They're on our side, but everybody's pointing their fingers at Ercot. They are saying we need to incentivize at the federal and state level the construction of new natural gas plants because of this problem that we're now going to be more dependent on renewables. Because if for whatever reason we had no wind and solar, we wouldn't be able to cover our load. Meanwhile, everybody is getting angry at Ercot when Ercot is the one standing up to the legislators saying we need to incentivize new natural gas plants. None of the energy companies, the big energy basically, wants to build new plants because the messaging is that you're going to get like carbon taxed and you should only be investing in, green technologies,
You're right, they're
renewables
against
and stuff.
natural
So
gas.
they don't want to go put in big spend on building new plants, so they won't. And so now we have this problem where a state like Texas that's growing a lot is not seeing any new projects for building any kind of traditional dispatchable fuel-based generation resource. So down the road, this could become a problem. For 2023, it's not. They're getting misquoted in these news articles that we're going to have this big problem. It's not true. We're going to be fine this summer. But several years from now, it could become a problem. But they're on our side, the people that everybody is blaming within Texas. You'll see comments on Facebook under their posts like, Texas hates you, Ercot, and like, get your act together, Ercot, and all this stuff. And it's totally misconstrued. Ercot is actually fighting the battle at the legislative level to get us incentivization for new natural gas plants. So we need to point our anger in a different direction. That's basically the announcement here.
What were you going to say, Nolan?
Why? Okay, two things. Why is solar showing 0%? But 12,000 megawatts of capacity.
Okay, I can explain.
It's real time.
Right. So this particular chart right now, and by the way, Ercot is so transparent. All the data about the current status of our grid is on
this is like
Ercot
right now,
live
right
all the
now.
time.
Look at the bottom left. Real time.
I mean, I get that, but like,
No,
I
you
didn't
can
know
stay-
it was talking about this
crap.
minute.
Go back.
I will.
No, I can explain the graph. Left column is current generation. That's happening this minute. Center column, summer capacity. That's what we'll have during the summer available. That's center columns. Right column is what we have, but for whatever reason, we won't have it in the summer.
I didn't know it was real
who
time
knows?
either, honestly. So
Wow.
thanks.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Left is real time. There are tons of extremely interesting dashboards on Ercot's website. They post reports weekly, monthly, seasonally, yearly on every single generation resource we have. Extremely transparent. They forecast the load honestly. All the data's there, and they have no control over what new generation connects to the grid.
So if you're watching this on
None.
YouTube, this was real time when we were watching it. I just have a screenshot that I'll show you guys so you can see what it was when it's real time.
It's dark right now. That's why we have 0
Yeah.
on the current generation.
How many modern nuclear power plants would it take to power Texas, or whatever Ercot's area is?
It's not really a good way to ask, saying how many nuclear or how many. Did you say nuclear or natural gas?
Nuclear.
Nuclear. Because nuclear plants can be built to different sizes. So we only have a few. So what's our summer capacity? 5,000 megawatts. I believe Texas only has 2 or 3 nuclear plants. And as you see,
We
We
should
need
we should
80,000.
The 80. So at a 2 to 3
Yeah, but
megawatts per nuclear plant, and you need 80,000 megawatts, and you get 2 to 3,000 per. So yeah, you need like 40.
Okay.
But you can build them a lot bigger.
Couldn't you just build them larger? And
our plants
I'm sure
are
a
pretty
newer
small. You
plant
can build
would.
like a 10 megawatt nuclear. Yeah.
Where are they in Texas?
One
Yeah.
is very close to here in Glen Rose. That's just southwest of Fort
Oh,
Worth.
wow. Okay.
And I believe
Did
the
not
other
know
one.
that.
Good to know,
I believe
yeah.
the other one's closer to the coast.
Steer clear.
Huh.
No, I'm just
You
kidding.
may have to fact check me.
I'm all for nuclear.
I think
Oh,
we
I
only
am
have
too. It was a
I
joke.
think we only have 2.
I think you're right. 2 or 3 maybe.
Is there anything that would challenge the generation side of this that would knock some of this capacity off in a summer environment? Like, is there
Like
I guess
a freeze?
My question is, okay, demand could be higher, right, than expected, right? To Nolan's point, right? A freeze knocks some
Okay, yes.
some
I see what you're
generation
saying.
off.
Where's our risks?
Yeah.
So, Skye, go 1 tab back.
This one?
Two tabs back. This one. And scroll down a little bit. There you go. Boom. All right. So Ercott is very transparent again, like I said, and they run low risk, medium risk, high risk, extreme risk scenarios all the time, kind of attributing to what Adamo is saying. And yes, there is a high risk scenario, and it's if we had sort of like a record high temperature day and there's very little wind, and around 9 p.m. when the sun goes down and solar dips off, the temperature is still extremely hot. Your load can stay very high. So if all these things converged, a record high day, not very much wind, load kind of uncharacteristically stayed high until after the sun went down a little bit, you could see an issue where there would have to be some like temporary brownouts, aka targeted outages in certain areas just to get past like that hour.
I hope they start with Houston, man.
So doesn't-
it's possible that
They got it coming.
and honestly it probably would be down there. It most likely it would be places that are far away from where there's wind infrastructure.
So doesn't California have like blackouts a lot? Don't they have power issues a lot?
They were, yeah.
They were for a while.
They've been having more, and it's
Similar
kind
to this kind of thing, right?
It's related to this, like how much of a percentage of their portfolio is related to renewables is like how much exposure you have to like all these
Variable.
things happened on
So
the
then
same
my
day.
question would be: is it a danger that we could end up like them? Right?
It's a
The way we're headed right now.
down the road, it is a danger that could end up like that. But I just want to say what the danger really is, and people aren't going to want to hear this because I'm an advocate for free or cheap and abundant energy, and like Americans shouldn't have to worry about like having access to energy when they want it. But this isn't a risk like the winter storm was a risk. This is we're slightly exceeding our capacity at the hour of 9 p.m. We're going to have to do a few targeted low-risk areas, like they don't have a hospital on it, don't have a whatever. It'll be circuit by circuit, and it'll be the lowest priority circuits. They'll go out for like 30 minutes, and then they'll come back on, and it'll be fine. Now, we don't want Texas to turn into that, so we should be agreeing with the Ercot and PUC chairman that we need to find a way legislatively to incentivize people to build new natural gas plants. Natural gas is
So
really
ERCOT
the way
doesn't
here.
build anything?
Ercot maintains the
Generation-wise?
transmission infrastructure. They have nothing to do with generators. They don't.
Who generates? Like, who
Promote-
pays for generation? investments?
Those are private companies are in the business of this. Think Shell, think NextEra, think Duke Energy, Southern Company, even Encore's parent company, Sempra Energy, has a generation wing. Like big energy companies, Exxon.
Yeah, right,
These are the people who own generation plants.
And so they're just going to look at the risk-reward trade-off of what type of energy do we want to be investing in.
Right.
And right now, if the signaling is you're going to get taxed on you're going to
get penalized for fossil fuel ones, and there are tax credits for investing in solar and wind.
So yeah, no-brainer.
So no-brainer that you do that. But you can't dispatch those. So since we're staying flatlined on dispatchable fuel-based energy generation, but the load continues to grow, you would end up having a problem where there would be these certain circumstances.
Unless you have storage alongside with it.
But storage
Which
is
we
very
know that
impractical to match.
yeah.
I feel like we're surrounded by big companies that get to control what happens, like in big pharma. I guess big energy too, apparently with generation. You know what I
Right,
mean?
but
It's like, wow.
they are responding to legislation. They're responding to
but they're
risks
not actually paying for-
associated with what
makes
will
sense.
happen. They don't want to invest. Trust me, Duke Energy would invest in a natural gas plant if they
Of course
thought
they
it was
would,
a good
right?
idea.
Profitable.
They
right?
don't care.
Right.
It'd be fine. So my public service announcement this week, maybe finally next month, I won't have a power grid topic. The public service announcement this month for Texas people is ERCOT is actually fighting for you here, and they do not control who wants to build a generation plant and wants to connect it to the grid.
So if you want to help them fight, then figure out who your local legislative is. You know,
Tip your power bill when they send it to you.
legislator is, and then
Put that
call
20%
them. You know?
on.
Tip your landlords too.
We're in Texas legislation right now, right? So
Yes,
like,
we are. And
now's the time. Call your
Dan Patrick
representatives.
was out there jumping on this, like advocating for it, and it's good. Governor Abbott's on that side as well. But a lot of this is controlled federally. That like the intensification of generation technologies is kind of a federal thing. Texas could be all about it, and it wouldn't help that much. So fortunately Texas is renewable heavy, so we're gonna be Gucci.
Yeah, but
apparently,
when
dude.
is ERCOT
It's
going to
crazy.
release the pay-to-play tier to prioritize your circuit? You know, I want to rank.
So,
I want to rank my
that's a
circuit
good-
higher.
That's a good question. Unfortunately for you, your circuits are chosen by priority at the distribution level, so that lives with your co-op or utility in your area.
Boom, roasted.
So if you're on Encore or AEP or one of the big investor-owned utilities, your qualm is with them.
We need a live
And
board.
if you're on a
dude.
we yeah.
We need this in the studio live board of energy all the time. Real time energy
I'm into
updates.
that.
Yeah.
I'm into that.
What do we got, Jordan?
Wow, wind is really performing right now.
And
Can you keep up?
And you can always check that on ERCOT's homepage. What's going on? And
That's freaking sweet.
so we're
That is
doing
cool.
we're doing 21 megawatts of wind right now.
That's crazy.
That's 30,
21,000 megawatts. 36% of Texas's grid right now is wind.
I never really believed it, right? Whenever
I
everyone
didn't
would
either.
talk about
I
that.
didn't either.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, we're going wind. I'm like, 5 to 10%.
Robert
whatever.
F. Kennedy's like, yeah, Texas is in the mix with Dakotas
Bobby?
and all that. I'm like, what,
That's
dude?
crazy.
And y'all got to understand when we have these hot days, usually there is a lot of wind in those areas. This scenario is extremely
Well,
unlikely.
And if we have no solar, it's windy. What is it normally on a windy day? I'm sorry, cloudy day. It's windy.
yeah, and cloudy days are never a problem anyway
Yeah. Or solar's not really.
because it's not hot enough.
I mean, yeah, I guess
It's really
at your
the
old
night
place.
you got to worry about.
It's
night.
it's really a 30-minute window from like 8:45 to 9:15 is like the exposure window to this potential issue. And even that, it would take another record high summer and like super low wind for it to even be a problem. But that's just this year. Down the road, it could be worse. So we
Yeah,
have a
you're-
problem, but ERCOT is on our side, and we don't want to lose ERCOT. People are so mad at them. That's like the against the grain thing. Texas has our own managed transmission system separated from the rest of the country. We want to keep that.
Sponsored by ERCOT against the
Yeah.
grain. Let's go.
We want to keep that. So
Yeah, for sponsorships, reach out to Skye at toastycreations.com.
I'm done. So anyway, as I said,
Solid.
I didn't want to spend a lot of time on this.
Yeah, dude.
I wanted to back it up with data.
For the PSA,
I wanted to show people, what's going on.
Dr. Electricity at it again,
No, that's
man.
good.
Yeah.
I just want to know who's running that electric bike hooked up to the grid, contributing
Under the
101
category.
megawatts, just pedaling, dude.
Somebody opened a
Yeah.
squirrel farm that's just squirrels.
All right, Skye,
Skye
take us
did
away.
not like that.
No. I'm looking
did
at you. I'm
not
waiting
like
for that sick question you got. Which question you want to ask us first?
Crap, I don't know.
Oh, rip us, Nolan.
I'm trying to blend the topics, kind of go from a.
It was that blending
big
a topic.
a big to small. That's why I was looking at you with the seductive eyes because I thought maybe you would just start teeing up. I don't know. I guess that's not how that works.
I don't know which one y'all want to go with.
Oh man, the hobby one is fun.
I like the hobby.
Hobby one. All right,
Yeah.
we'll go hobby. All right. So
Is that one of your topics actually though?
Yeah.
Oh, cool. Yeah, let's do it. Let's do it.
Absolutely. So if time and money were unlimited, in this whatever situation, you'd still had lived a normal life, whatever. What would be your go-to hobby? And since this is Texas, one rule: no cars, no guns, but unlimited time, unlimited money. What would be your next hobby that you'd get into?
I'm
Someone?
not going first.
No one wants to go first? Jordan, want to go first? Do you already know yours?
I'll go first if nobody knows theirs.
Yeah,
Bro.
go ahead.
All right, yeah.
In case you have a good one, I'm stealing it.
Well, I kind of have two that are
still
up in the air.
manning it.
The one that I saw a long time ago in high school that sticks with me is I went on a flight with a buddy of mine whose dad was a private pilot, and I showed up to the hangar at like 7 a.m. We're getting the plane ready and all that stuff, and there was a Super Cub over in the corner with these really, really big tires on it. So it's like this little single engine tail drag little plane with these massive oversized tires. I'm like, hey, what's that all about? And he was like, hey, you see those two big fuel tanks on each wing? It's like, these two guys own this plane. They eat every weekend. This is their thing. Every weekend, they just pick an uninhabited island in the Caribbean. They fly, and those big tires are for landing and taking off on sand. And this Cub can take off and land in probably like 30 to 50 feet if the wind's good enough. So they can literally just land on this tiny little bitty island in the sand, and they take all their camping gear, all their fishing gear, and they camp and they fish all weekend, and then they fly back. That is number one for me. That is, I hope to accomplish that in life. I want to do that.
So flying to a camping spot and
Yeah,
fishing.
just like kind of overlanding, but in a plane. Like
That's a good
Alaskan
point, yeah.
bush.
Plane overland.
Yeah,
That's like a
No,
lot
like
of
over Skye.
The true
Yeah.
overland.
The true overlanding.
Yeah.
true overland.
Like Alaskan
Overland.
bush pilot type stuff. We can go see Derek whenever we want.
But how fast are one of these Cubs?
They go pretty fast. I mean, they can probably do 120 to 150.
That's decent.
It's not bad.
I never
with
thought-
the wind, perfect conditions, all that stuff. You might be doing like 80 to 120 at any given
That's
point
one thing
in
I had
time.
no idea about. Whenever Tim bought his freaking plane, it goes like, what, 70 miles an hour or whatever it was? And I was like, what?
No, with the wind, he could touch.
You have to,
he
like-
could touch almost 100.
Really?
Yeah,
It's just
with
like
the
going in a
wind.
car. It's like, well, why don't I just take a car?
Like I said, conditions have to be perfect. But when I rode with him, we were like 90 most of the time because we were going west. Coming
Well,
back
has
was
no
a little
options.
slower.
We're just buying a faster plane for sure.
You're right.
yeah. Well, yeah, no money,
his
right?
was
Or
also a
money's not an object.
$15,000 single
Yeah.
engine Mooney with like a
Money is no
120
object.
horsepower. I mean, this would be like a $200,000 Super Cub.
So overland flying, I guess, is
Yeah,
your,
yeah. And then number two would be like base jumping.
Get two?
Wow.
You don't have to go into them like
I didn't see
super
that coming.
detailed.
I'm just
I mean,
kidding,
they
I'm
can kind of
kidding.
play hand in hand, like base jumping, skydiving
Bro.
type stuff. That'd be cool.
Yeah,
I'd do
that
that.
would be cool.
Yep.
I've seen a lot of fail videos of skydiving recently, and it's pissing me off because I kind of wanted to
Wait,
I've thought about skydiving, right? Or-
Okay, all the times
what
that
kind
I've
of
asked
fails? Like people dying?
Yeah,
Yes.
you know, like just exploding on
so
exploding on the ground into a million pieces.
No. I'm not watching that part of it. I'm not getting that gory. But however, I've seen there's two specific ones that just keep popping up in my freaking algorithm, bro. I'm like, get out of here, dude. I don't like them or anything, dude. But there's
But I'm
two
super
planes.
into it and watch
two-
it.
I watched it all the way. That's why it's still there, obviously, right? It's like past 4 seconds, so it's like, oh, we got you. Two planes are flying, and they're both skydiver planes, and the top plane is where the camera is, and you can see all the people about to jump out to skydive, and the plane is literally, for some reason, it was falling really quickly, like altitude, and it hits the other plane while these people are literally about to jump out. One guy was on the wing about to jump off, like skydiving, and then all of a sudden they freaking go poof, and they're like, ah, and they all fall. You know, they have parachutes, obviously, but it's
Yeah,
like
it's a
whoa.
great time to get
Yeah.
hit. The best time
Okay.
ever to get hit by another
I
plane
have
in the air
asked
was
you
when
like
you're
10
on the wing
times
with a
to go
parachute
skydiving.
on.
I've asked you like 10 times to go skydiving with me, and you always say, nah.
Yeah,
I'm good.
because I've been a reasonable human being most of my life. No, I'm just kidding. I've just been scared of heights, dude. But
Yeah.
I've thought about it recently,
You know
and I
those-
actually was I was thinking about inviting you
Yeah.
if I did go. So there's
Missy
your
would be a barrier at this point.
That's why I haven't
but
brought it
We'll
up.
talk to her.
Missy and your son.
Nah, he'd probably go.
Oh, he can't even talk, man.
no. I meant
You
like
can't tell him no.
I didn't know if it. What doesn't that change? Does that change what
He'd
you
probably
think?
want to
about-
go.
Does that change what you think about it at all?
Me? No,
having a
absolutely
kid.
not. No.
Nice. Wait, is that good or bad? It's good for
Yeah,
me.
I think when he said
Risk,
Missy's a
let's
barrier,
go.
he's talking about Missy letting him do it.
Just letting him do it all,
Missy,
right?
Letting him do
Not
it. Yeah.
Nolan's
okay.
choice to not do it because of Missy.
No. Yeah. Definitely
Yeah,
want to do those
definitely
squirrel
not that.
shoot things too. Those little squirrels.
What is
Those look cool.
Oh yeah, dude. So anything with you are really a flyer, huh? Wow.
I've always, I've always
Anything
wanted to do that
Skye
stuff.
driven. Cool. Jordan, what's yours, man? What do you got? Lay it on me.
I'll go if
I
You don't know?
I
Okay.
did not get
Adamo,
to
dude.
do
You
much
see,
time.
I'm close.
I'm here.
Oh,
let me give
yeah.
you. He's close. Let me give you all the ones I ruled out, and then I'll get you the one I landed on. Woodworking was definitely high. You know, I love me some woodworking, but
You
it's
already
like,
do that.
Yeah, but like I'm talking unlimited time and money,
Extreme
like
woodworking.
extreme woodworking. You know,
The real deal.
turn my arms into chisels type of woodworking.
I did think
Tool
about
man
extreme
Taylor.
lawn
Tool-
care.
But no, I ruled that out. I thought about backpacking, and that's when, and I like that, but I ruled that out, especially like a PCT hike or something like that.
Yeah.
But I was like, nah, lots of people can just quit their job. You can just quit your job for 3 months and do that if you want. Then it clicked.
I don't think.
It's it's building an off-grid homestead from scratch.
Oh, yeah.
Just getting
Yeah.
out there and
Oh,
doing
yeah.
it, clearing the land, building the cabin, putting the solar panels up, not digging the well, hiring someone to dig the well.
Well, that's part of the hobby, right?
I'm talking about full-on acres of homestead to a little bit of crops, a little bit of animals, a little bit of shooting, even though obviously guns are not included in this. Thanks, Nolan. And then most importantly, just building the sickest off-grid cabin you've ever seen.
Oh yeah, that is one of the rules, huh?
I'll just keep adding to it for the rest of my life.
I mean, guns can be involved, but
No guns, no cars,
I wanted to
right?
refrain from just, I'm going to get like machine guns and
'Cause the
like
normal-
all this cool stuff that obviously we're all into. But
I think the two main
Yeah,
guy
'cause
hobbies are guns and
if
cars.
cars
so
were
makes
there,
sense.
I would probably just pick like just all these different builds I could come up with. That'd be really fun. to
just
do
build
play
cars
around
and
with.
like
Yeah.
take them to the track and all that stuff. Yeah,
I thought you would have said racing lawnmowers, but whatever.
that'd be sick.
Just can't quite.
On
That
his-
doesn't top the list, Skye. Not quite.
Oh, gotcha.
His
Okay.
off-grid cabin includes a track for lawnmowers.
That'd be so sick, dude.
LS
That'd be so
swap.
sick. I can go if you're still going.
I got stuff, but you can
Well,
absolutely
dude, first and foremost, this is gonna sound so gay.
We're here for it.
I would own an aquarium. I would actually own several aquariums, and like saltwater aquariums specifically because I don't like the
personal
freshwater stuff.
in-home aquarium.
Yeah, personal aquariums, but they'd be sick. Like you're talking like 240 gallons plus these bad boys. and
Such a specific number.
and like, well, because I had aquariums growing up, and I wanted to be a marine biologist for a long time, and so anyway, it's just really cool to be able to have the fish in there, have everything in there, and you like grow this ecosystem that's like yours. It's almost like Rick and Morty freaking multiverse stuff, dude. That's what you feel like, honestly. Not
a
trying to
hot
say
take.
that I'm
That's a hot
trying to
take.
feel like a god here, because that's kind of weird, right? You don't want to do that, you know. But that's kind of how it feels when you grow this thing. You know, you have the anemones in there, you have the coral in there. It's all growing. It's all lush and nice, and it's clean. And you have everything working. So you have the snails getting rid of the algae, and then you have the fish doing their thing, and then it all comes together, and it's like this is how life works. And it's cool to see that inside a little case that you have in your home. You can see how it actually works in real life, right?
A
It's kind of beautiful.
A fish tank
It's kind
would
of
be
beautiful.
sick in here.
It's
Yeah.
kind of beautiful. So anyway,
sick.
that's the like time. No money's no object and all that crap. And then the second one for me is traveling, just straight up traveling. I guess that's a hobby.
What
but
what would your travel method of choice be?
like how I get there?
Like, would you just take a plane to all these destinations? Or
Oh
would
no
you-
no
what
no!
would you
It
do?
would just be all of the above. I don't really think
Okay.
there's a specific one. It'd be however
it's
I get
more
there,
the
right?
experience of
more the
being there, and yeah,
Right. And so like if I end up meeting a guy and he's like, I have a cub and I want to go here, I'll be like, dude, I'm
I
hitching
would
a
like
ride,
to see.
you know, that kind of thing.
I would like to see if I can make it from America to Europe by car.
So you'd be on a ferry, I guess, or a
Yeah, I
barge?
would like do the ferry to like Greenland and Iceland and like just keep making my way over like a freaking
floaty tires, dude.
Smitty. What's his name? Mitty Walter. What's his name?
Secret
Walter
Life of
Mitty.
Walter Mitty.
Walter
yeah.
Mitty. There we go.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
He didn't. He did. He was on the barge
took
for a little while.
He took the barge and
That
ferry and all
movie
that stuff. Yeah.
is the inspiration for
Sick-
this
sick
idea
movie.
because it's just like adventure is out there type of thing.
Yeah,
So I
sick
guess
movie.
when I say travel, maybe I should be specific. Not touristy style necessarily. Of course, I would want to see those things sometimes, but it'd be more like being able to just be out there, not worried about money, not worried about time, be able to hang out and meet all these people that you would never meet otherwise. You know, that is like, honestly, that's like the top for me. That's like exactly what I want to do. Like before I die, come on, I got to know these people.
Everybody.
I don't know. It's just a thing for me, I guess.
Yeah,
But Jordan,
actually,
what do you think?
mine is pretty close to that. It would involve a lot of travel. You know how we've always talked about kind of doing our inside friend group version of Roadkill or Top Gear, where we choose a destination and we fly there, and everybody has to like buy. And this one would be cars, obviously. Yeah. But everybody would have to try to buy a car that's under $6,000, that's at least 200 horsepower, that's a stick shift or whatever, and now we have to try to drive it back or whatever. It doesn't have to be cars every time. Just doing, like, basically playing GeoGuessr at the global scale, I guess. Yeah. Like traveling with friends with like an objective, like actually treating the world as your sandbox and flying around and like completing little objectives. I think I could just do that over and over and over.
That's sick.
If money was no object and we could just pick on the global scale, let's go do this thing. You know, every once in a while you'll see some entrepreneur guy, he'll be like, all right, I'm going to do a 3-month challenge where I move to this city with nothing, and like he doesn't even use his resume from his prior life or any of his other money. He like goes with like a bank account that's empty or whatever, and he goes and figures out a way to make money in 90 days or something in this new city. Like fly around and try to do that, but like in somewhere else, in a different country. Like doing
who can land a 6-figure job first in whatever country,
or like
not using their resume.
Maybe
like who can start a civil war somewhere in Central Africa.
Dude, I think our first thing, honestly, should be finding DB Cooper's treasure.
Trouble.
DB Cooper's treasure.
That's in America, so
that doesn't matter. That should be the first one.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I don't know.
We're gonna find flight MH370. No, I'm just kidding. Bring this up again.
I've always really say if time is truly no option.
No object.
No object. If time is truly no object, no, that doesn't really make any sense. I'm thinking down the road of a prison sentence won't be a factor. I've always really
I've
always really wanted to know in real life, like based on like GTA's heat rating, you know. How when I watch a lot of videos of police chases and stuff, and I've just wondered how would I fare? Yeah, like how deep could I make it? Like I'm the homicide suspect and I'm on the run.
I think everyone thinks that, right?
As like a guy.
Oh yeah.
I think like a man's man. Pretty much everyone.
Could I get away with a heist, right, or
hobby
something
would
like
be
that?
Running away from the police.
Committing crimes.
Robbing a bank is my thing for sure.
That's a big one.
Yeah.
To throw a little more variety, I also am very if time is no object, I'm very interested in that in kind of the backpacking realm of getting to as remote of a location as possible where possibly nobody has ever been. So like going to like Alaska or northern Canada and doing what some people call it like pack rafting, and they make like these backpackable rafts that like fit in your backpack.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
So now you can start crossing bodies of water and stuff, and you can
actually just go.
Yeah. There's some people that are crazy. I mean, you know, they backpack their fishing gear and their pack raft or whatever, and they start crossing stuff, and they start getting to places where no one has ever been. And
you can walk. I'll take my plane. That's cool.
Yeah, exactly. You
That
can
is
just
so
take
cool,
Nolan's plane, but.
Land on the trees.
Yeah,
I'm just kidding.
That's something I would probably die because I don't think I'm actually that handy out in the woods. But it's a cool idea to me.
I would love it. That sounds amazing.
I would love to do.
Want it all.
Man,
I think
speaking of the running away from cops, one time Michelle, we were driving home from Jordan's house, and she asked me about like how long I think I could stay away from cops and what I would do. She asked me for my strategy, which was
wow,
thanks Michelle. I
think about this
appreciate
a lot.
you teeing that up.
Yeah.
I drove 10 miles.
Is this a real story?
I drove 10 miles past our exit, and I look around. I'm like, where are? Did I miss our exit?
Absolute monologuing.
That's awesome.
Wow.
That's a true story.
I think about it. I probably have a 10 to 20 minute daydream on it once a month, thinking about, okay, if I was in this city, like, how would I actually get out of here?
Okay, I don't go that ham.
You got to think about helicopters and the way that they piece together these crimes, like, you know, from this camera of this place to the next one and being spotted here, and, you know, they got you on helicopter. Like, it's hard to actually get yourself lost out there. It's difficult.
It also depends on how much they actually want it. What your heat rating is.
Yeah.
Well, that's why you got to just start small and just keep escalating.
I mean, wasn't that guy in Fort Worth was that high speed chase that happened recently? And he was in a Challenger, right, or something like that.
He was in a burnt orange Dodge Challenger.
He almost made it,
crashed out. He had it going on. He ran out of gas, and he stopped to get gas. That let Fort Worth PD get closer to him. He had enough time to fully get gas and get out of the gas station before they got there, though. And they had helicopter out, and the helicopter path was published online, like the route the helicopter flew. It flew all over the city following him all around the 820 loop. This guy went from like Binbrook to 820, wrapped around DFW, back down through the middle of Fort Worth, and then back out I-30, and somehow got far enough out ahead of the cops that he stopped and got gas in the Alito area and got back on before they caught him. And then he crashed out around Willow Park.
But the helicopter actually was able to follow him the whole time?
Yeah.
I mean, that makes sense, right, I guess, but...
Yeah.
I've seen nothing on this.
I didn't either, right?
I was stuck in the
insane.
traffic jam. It was insane. It came to a full, complete stop, and people were stranded there for like almost 3 hours.
When was this?
He
This
crashed
was,
out 3 other people. I think they were in critical condition. I don't know if they died. It was a bad crash. Like, and the cars burned. It was upside down. Like, the other cars were upside down on the side of the road.
So what I'm trying to
super
say
bad.
is that theory we're thinking about has been tested recently in Fort Worth.
It's tested a lot. There's
I
plenty
believe
of videos.
that, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Is it true that, like, so they say there's some, like, statistic of, like, bank robberies, like, more than 50% of them are actually are successful?
I don't really
No
know.
idea.
I've never heard that before.
Do you think
It seems unlikely.
I have heard
would think
that
so, but they
it's
don't-
surprisingly low
they
how
don't
many
cover-
murders are actually ever attributed to something.
Oh, really?
But so much of it is inner city violence that
do you
like
think
they just don't even bother. I don't know.
assuming you were skilled in both vehicle types, do you think you would fare better in a car or a motorcycle?
Oh man, I've seen some motors.
Because you can slip through some crickety cracks in a motorcycle, but
I don't think you're ever, if your heat rating's pretty high, I don't think you're ever losing the cops in the original vehicle that you started in.
that's true.
I
You gotta
agree.
go.
I agree
You gotta
with
go
Jordan.
baby.
Because
You gotta go
if
baby
the
driver
If your
style.
heat rating is high enough for helicopter, you have to change.
Yeah.
Once there's a helicopter up there, you got to pull some under the bridge.
And it's got to be like a white Toyota Camry.
Yeah, and it's got to all of a sudden you're not going fast anymore.
Yeah, exactly.
Ultimately,
Yeah.
you want to as quickly as possible not be in a situation where you're running anymore. Like that's how you.
None of this is criminal advice, by the way.
This guy driving 120 miles an hour out of the city in his original car and getting gas to keep doing it was a terrible idea.
Yeah.
Because they're never going to lose you. You're driving down I-20.
Yeah, especially on 20, right? Just
There's an article. What you should know
What is
before
that?
robbing a bank.
What is it?
Oh,
U.S.
man.
News. Wow.
I don't know, man.
Should we do it?
It says they're relatively unsuccessful, apparently. There were
Yeah.
there were almost 2,000 of them in 2021. according to the
I would be
FBI.
willing to bet that murders have a higher success rate, like getting away with rate. Because I think that a lot of homicides eventually go unsolved.
Wow.
Yeah, I believe that
Because
because
of
of the amount of
yeah.
evidence you need to actually get to a conviction.
Bank
It's like,
robbery is that's tough.
you can have a lot of circumstantial evidence that you're pretty sure it's this guy, but that's not gonna actually convict them and get a prison sentence.
Yeah, man, I don't know. I'll
That is
look
a
into
weird
that,
article.
but I thought, yeah, it is. I thought I had heard that somewhere. That's why I asked you guys. Actually, I heard it on Mind Pump. Shout out to Adam for mentioning this. I don't know if it's true or not, but he's like 52% of them are successful, and
It
that's
may
why they
have
don't.
not
That's why they
been
don't
just,
report on it.
specifically bank robberies. It may have been like some other kind of theft. Because think
He
about
said bank
how
robberies,
Oh, okay.
but I mean, because it was like that's why they don't report on them all ever. He was like, yeah, they don't report on them because it's like the most successful crime. I don't know, dude.
Hard to believe.
Wow.
I agree because literally I just looked at the statistics and it was like didn't seem accurate. Yeah, man.
All
But
right.
anyway, dude. We
Good
can get
hobbies,
into-
guys.
Good
All
hobbies,
go
guys.
hand in hand.
Hey, cheers to that.
They could all be linked together in a certain way,
We're gonna look back in 10 years and
and I'll be
either
a
be
ghost.
doing.
If you guys want to know
Likewise.
what we're
Likewise.
drinking on this podcast, it is Silver Star whiskey, and obviously that's a shout out. If you haven't tried it, you need to.
Texas Silver Star.
So Texas Silver
Distilled
Star,
in Fort Worth.
right here, right off the Trinity, and brother, it's good. Adamo, do you want to talk about stem cells or what, dude?
Boy, do I.
Boy,
do I.
do I.
Do we need a little break? before we
Holy
just
crap!
dive into
You want to
this?
intermission this? We're at 43 minutes ish, so It may not even be long enough to do an intermission, really.
Do we want
But we could do a shorter pod.
Do we want to do a few filler topics here and kick
Well,
off with
look,
themselves on the next pod?
I had a few.
I like
yeah,
that.
we can do that. And I had
That's your
split it.
one topic. Okay, cool.
I had one thing that I could bring up. Really, it's not really a big topic, but it's about how we fund our welfare. What do you call that? Food stamps. And so essentially, this is just going to be about obesity. To be clear. Yeah, I'm just going to be clear here, right? But basically, the childhood obesity rate was under 5% in 1960s. Today, it's like more than 20% or over 20%. And they're trying to attribute it in this article from Real Clear Policy, which is also Real Clear Politics or anything else you want to call it. Look up. They have Real Clear Science and all that stuff too. Really good website, actually. But anyway, in this article, they're trying to attribute the obesity rate in America to the fact that the majority of SNAP funds used goes to sugary drinks and all that stuff, right? So they basically are saying that the fund of the government, since that ends up being the case, is like over $10 billion. It ends up paying for Cokes and sodas
Extremely
and stuff like
unhealthy
that
stuff
for
usually.
the kids, right? Yeah, extremely
Yeah.
unhealthy stuff usually. And that is actually, the way they lay it out seems accurate to me. But what I want to ask you guys is, I guess, how big of a problem do you think that is whenever, I don't really know how many people use SNAP.
I think you're describing America's
You didn't
biggest
even know.
problem, whether you want to narrow it down to welfare benefits or not.
That's my thing. It's already America's biggest problem.
Sugar is America's biggest problem.
For sure. And I think that people want to blame it on one specific thing, like ingredient, sugar.
Health problem.
When really it's I don't know. I think maybe it's just calories.
I mean, we saw it.
We know that.
We saw it when we worked at Aldi. I mean, a lot of people.
You
where
could
we
spot
were
them right?
Oh,
coming down the
100%.
line because
Yeah.
they got the cart full of processed junk, and I mean full, overflowing,
Full.
lots of little kids, and you just know you mental
Yeah.
note.
And they were
It's
gonna use
all
WIC or
paying
something like that.
It's
WIC
all
or EBT.
Food
bread,
stamps, right?
snack foods,
Chat EBT.
frozen foods. I mean, obviously they have milk, eggs, juices, all that stuff, but it's not things that they can take and make a good home cooked meal. It's
Okay.
all either pre-made, processed,
Right. So
sugar based, whatever.
Wait, Skye,
In
I
light
got
of
the
this-
link for you. I'm just pulling up my obesity notes for
yeah.
you. There's I'm dropping it in Discord, but
Okay.
basically there's a super clear correlation between just the calories that America eats per capita and the rates of obesity.
I mean, of
It
course,
just straight
right?
up
There
comes
has
down
to
to
be,
that,
right?
right.
But like, what I want to get to though is that the fact that happens. Is there anything we do to like? Is it re-education for parents, or what is it? Or do you think we're
So-
actually headed the right direction now?
So I think it goes all the way down. It's somebody, I can't remember where I heard this, but it put it very clearly. You remember in school when they were teaching the food pyramid and how
Send the link.
carbs
Oh, yeah,
and
it's a
breads
scam.
and all that were the biggest part of the pyramid, that you base your whole diet on bread and whatever carb-based food, pastas and stuff. How that whole pyramid is completely upside down because they have meats and proteins like 3 levels up, and then they have, obviously they put candy and sugar and all that stuff in the very top, but like fruit, vegetables, all that stuff were all well above bread and carb-based food. And how that's, you take sugar out, turn it upside down, and that's how it actually should
Yeah.
be. Like these bread companies and pasta companies and all those processed foods like that basically bought out the education system to teach people that they should be the biggest part of people's diets. I think it goes to the fundamentals of that level. That's obviously not the only area that is like that, but it just goes to that where you're literally teaching kindergartners and elementary students.
Bro, it's like,
that.
I totally agree with that, actually.
Yeah.
I mean, it does start there, for sure. It helps at least.
And our America's bread is insanely high in sugar and calories.
Well, have you ever had Wonder Bread? It's like the
But-
sweetest bread you'll ever have.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. And
crazy.
no, I was not allowed
Tastes
to
good.
have Wonder Bread.
Boom. Wow.
Yeah.
What do you think, Jordan? What do you think about this?
Can you, so on these programs, are there only certain foods that they're allowed to use for them? They can't use it on anything in the store.
There is limits. Yeah.
Can they not get uncooked, meat from the freezer or refrigerator?
Okay. No,
Is
they
that
can.
not on
It's
it?
basically anything food based. There's
It's
not
like
really
this
any
alcohol.
Yeah.
And there's
so
really only
logical
You
a
can't.
things. They can
It's
get
like
food.
you can't buy straight up candy with it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But
to
you
be
can,
clear,
you
the
can buy
push
Little
is-
Debbie snacks. You can buy
Yeah.
literally anything that's not candy,
Cookies,
alcohol,
chips,
cigarettes.
like,
anything
The
No,
reason
no,
articles like
If you think back to those carts, like what was it normally 80-90%
Chips.
they were eligible for the EBT,
Oh, yeah.
and then like they would only have to pay $20 or $30 out of pocket
Yeah,
on,
the only-
on
the
a
only-
$200 cart.
Yeah.
So they would have been able to purchase a healthy diet, but they just chose. They clearly were not doing it.
Yeah.
Right, exactly.
that's kind of why I asked.
So
It's
I
not like
guess
systemic. You're asking,
that's
is it
what-
like a systemic
That's
thing?
what I'm
Yeah.
saying. So really, this issue it lies higher. Like this is a symptom of what's clearly a deeper root problem.
Yeah.
and that's
what I'm saying. It's America's biggest problem, whether you're talking about welfare or not.
I mean, we definitely taught the wrong nutritional guidance probably from the
Yeah.
beginning, right?
100%.
Yeah, it's bad in the education system. The diet, like the free food that kids get on, the school lunch programs is usually terrible, and the habits of the parents of kids that are in lower income families usually are not good because that's why they're.
But also don't leave out the responsibility of the food manufacturers that have chemically tuned foods so you eat more, so your satiety hormones get suppressed so that
Okay.
you're more sugar, more salt, right? So that you're
Yeah,
It's
Oh, I-
hyper palatable
right?
foods.
Because obviously you eat more, they get more revenue. Direct link.
yeah. Hyperpalatable is the
Word of the day.
it's the phrase mind pump. They talk about this all the time,
Right.
And I do want to talk about that because this is such a great example of big corporations doing something for a profit when clearly there's ethical reasons not to do it out there. We can scream about that on the mic all day long, and tons of health minded podcasts and fitness influencers and stuff do. But what is the actual solution here? Like, is this something that are we advocating for regulation here? Are we saying that these companies shouldn't be allowed to do that? Like, what's the solution? If we're saying some of the responsibilities on the food companies actually making hyper palatable foods that people just like to eat so much that they use all their free stamps for it or buy it even with their own money if they don't have the stamps, should the companies not do it? And what's going to make, if you have your big 6 food companies and 2 of them decide to be ethical, what's going to keep them from just going insolvent because the other 4 continue to crush them in the market? So it has to be regulated, right? So we're
no,
basically,
I don't think so. No,
so
because
they just all are going to be ethical all of a sudden?
I'm fundamentally libertarian and
Yeah.
capitalist from that approach. I don't necessarily think it's a regulation thing. There may be specific ingredients that we could regulate completely out of our country, right? And just from a top down say we don't want these, and I'd be totally okay with that.
Mm-hmm.
But as far as like policing the food companies and what they can or can't manufacture at like a granular level, I'm opposed to. I think it's more.
Do you know some examples of what ingredients would make it more difficult? Like if we, as a country, regulated those out, would make it hard for them to even be able to make the types of foods that we're talking about?
I mean, the one that's most obvious to me is I have not heard of a compelling reason why we need high fructose corn syrup around. So that one seems like an easy target because it's around a lot. I don't know, you hear all these other chemicals. I don't know, like, are they critical for other flavors? And if we pull them out, we're just going to hate our food now.
I
what I'm
think
saying?
Right, like which
probably
ones are critical
answer your
for the junk
question-
food but aren't used at all in the others?
Probably preservatives would be I don't know
But-
anything specific about preservatives to say which one's bad and which one's not that bad. That would probably be the hardest one because food would go bad faster.
faster.
Right,
Yeah.
we need preservatives.
I actually
for
have the
other
opposite
things.
take of you, Adamo, on this.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Let me finish unpacking the point that I want to hear that steel man me. To me, it's that you start with a proper education on food, right? That's on the ground level. You're retraining people and what healthy food looks like, and then you go from there and you can push. You can do if you want. If this is a government issue, rather than jumping straight to regulation, you can jump to education. Say, okay, we're going to help promote healthy eating and re-educate people, and then from there you need people to vote with their dollars in terms of what foods that they like, and that trend is already happening, right? I mean, I would argue that there's more if you look at new companies, what's growing, what's up and coming, it's all healthy stuff. Not entirely.
Yeah, but
I use that loosely, but healthy oriented.
But I don't
marketing.
think that the same
Wrong?
people are buying. I agree with that. There's a trend among probably middle class and up younger people to buy a lot of these healthier oriented foods, but I don't think it's changing the behavior of the lower income.
Lower middle class, lower incomes, not changing in my opinion.
Healthy organic foods are more expensive.
A big initial step I think you could take is limit what could be purchased with these with the welfare programs. I think they should only be able to purchase stuff that's on an actual legitimate healthy pyramid.
I attribute this to smoking. To be clear,
you attribute it to smoking.
Sorry, I compare it.
Elaborate.
Compare it to smoking.
Yeah.
So, like, look at Juul, for instance. It's being like lawsuited out of into outer space pretty much right now because they were marketing to, I guess, kids, right? In a way, 18-year-olds or whatever. And it was becoming a big deal, and everyone was falling for that, I guess, and they loved it. It tastes great, whatever. And it causes a lot of issues, health-wise. It can end up having health issues if you don't use it, I guess, properly. But there's not really a proper way to use it because there's not really instructions on that. You know what I mean? So when it's overused, it's a huge issue. However, we don't really know the long-term effects of, like, if you use it every once in a while, like a normal vape, because there are still people out here vaping like normal, and they're living their life just fine right now. We don't know. But going to this article that you brought up, or this tweet that you brought up, actually, kind of makes me think this same thing more, because this is saying it's tripled obesity rates since 1987 to now. That just seems like a bigger issue. That seems like such a big issue that maybe we should have some kind of regulation to help, like, correct the core.
I 100% think we need to regulate it.
Because, look, here's the thing, man. I mean, when you look at obesity, you can attribute obesity to more than just obesity deaths. You know what I mean? Because it causes so many other issues.
Oh yeah.
Does that make it's like literally all of the issues?
We're all on board there.
I'm there. I'm obviously
obesity is it? Yeah.
And if obesity is the number one killer, like smoking was back in the day when we figured out we needed to attack all the big tobacco, then we got to attack big fast food.
Yeah, you could. That's a good point, Skye. You can make a strong argument that regulation worked for general health improvement in the world of smoking. You can make a strong argument there. Because I don't know enough about food chemistry to know, like, are there enough specific ingredients that we could ban nationally that would
it'd be great if that
right?
worked. Yeah.
My comparison
I
is to
just
see if
think
Europe
there's
has
so many easy ways to regulate this it's not even going to impact the profits of the food manufacturers. It's really not. It might by a few percentage points, but if you look at the same food, we have the same food manufacturers here as they do in the UK and all of Europe. They have no problem following their regulation with no dyes, mostly organic stuff. Like if you compare most of our ingredient lists on whatever processed foods you're buying off the shelf, you get the same, maybe different branded, but overall kind of the same food over there, just a UK version. It's a much smaller and simpler ingredients list.
I don't know whether the food industry works anything like my industry, the med device industry, med tech industry. But what I do know is that in my industry, those companies, the same companies are following the regulations in Europe, but their margins are much lower, right? And their revenues are lower, right? I mean, that's because they're smaller markets, but the margins are much lower because of all the regulations. And so I don't disagree with you that maybe there's room for that, but I'm just saying there definitely is going to be a big hit.
The only food-based thing I've done actual research on is dyes. And it literally makes 0 sense to use dyes because it saves tenths of a percentage. Like the profit that food manufacturer would lose if they stopped using dyes is so marginal. It's mind-blowing that they even use them in the first place because there's so many alternatives to using Red 40 juices, and Blue 6 and all that. Yeah, you can use all sorts of fruit juices and stuff that's not in any way bad for you unless they have high fructose corn syrup or whatever. I mean, then dyes are. It makes 0 sense.
Look at the fast food chains when they first started. McDonald's was simple burgers, and I doubt they had lots of the ingredients they have in them today.
Fast food, their problems are sodium and preservatives, which have gotten worse over time.
Speaking of fast food, though, in this same realm,
I don't know if it's sodium as much.
Taco Casa apparently is Taco Bell whenever Taco Bell first started. So like they were together. Taco Casa was also Taco Bell.
Yeah.
And then they split off, and Taco Casa still has the exact same menu that Taco Bell had in the 1970s and uses all the same foods that Taco Bell did in the 1970s. So essentially, when you go to Taco Casa, you're getting Taco Bell in 1970. To go back to this whole no preservatives, no nothing, because they use it's all fresh, right? They use a load of freaking cheese. I'll say that, and it's insane, but it's all fresh stuff. And back to my point about maybe there's no preservatives, maybe there's no things like ingredients that we're all worried about now, but Taco Bell now is
I think I'm just trying to steer the conversation in a direction where, what's the root and what could actually be done about it. And I have realized over a lot of different thinking deeply about a lot of different topics how unlibertarian I actually am. In reality, I'm just super selective about what I want regulated and not regulated. So I guess that's why you live in a republic / a democracy where you just vote on what you want to have regulated and not regulated. And this is where libertarianism starts kind of falling apart.
Yeah, exactly.
And I want all my freedom in certain areas, and I want regulation in others. And I finally decided, I guess that's
how it is, man.
That's my prerogative.
I'm not going to call myself a libertarian anymore or any of that crap, honestly, because it just happens to be that I'm like,
I have opinions. Why wouldn't I want my government to reflect them?
Yeah.
And I don't really know. It would be awesome if there were certain ingredients that if you regulated them countrywide, it would make it so difficult for them to make this trash food and it wouldn't affect other food that is good. That would be awesome.
If those exist,
I don't know enough to know if that works. Or
doesn't
not.
Europe do this?
Because otherwise it would be a lot deeper.
I think
Europe,
there are a few
Europe
preservatives.
may do it, but do we want to do things how they're doing it? Like, is there consequences to that?
Food-wise,
are they obese?
I know. So hang on.
Food-wise, yes.
I agree. Like, okay, if we could have the health in terms of obesity that Europeans do, that'd be awesome. But are there consequences at the market level, like Adamo was saying? Like, okay, it's great that their food is better, but are the, food's expensive? Like, inflation is insane there. Like, everything is super expensive in comparison to wages there.
When I was there in last time,
there's always trade-offs.
Has anybody been to Europe post 2017? Because that's when I was there. You go there all the time.
In 20,
you go there all the time, dude.
Okay. What I mean, were
What's
food prices
about 2017?
That's just the last time I was there. Oh. So,
okay, sorry.
Taking out the dollar to euro like transfer or whatever, what were food prices like? Considering our food is insanely expensive now.
Yeah. So, I mean, I was in Paris and then in a couple of cities in Switzerland. Switzerland, obviously notoriously expensive just as a country. So I think that is a little standalone. Paris was fairly equivalent to a major city here. It didn't strike me as extremely expensive or
my takeaway from being in Italy in 2017 was literally it was dollar for dollar what I would expect the same menu, whatever restaurant it was, whether it was McDonald's, a mid-tier Italian restaurant, or some high-end whatever. It was dollar for dollar what I would expect to pay in America, except the euro was a little bit more valuable there, so I ended up paying a little bit more. But it was like 18 euros for whatever meal that I would expect to pay $18 in America. Like, I didn't pay any more for food than I thought I would.
And you already know apparently their gluten is different because of the wheat they grow or whatever.
I don't know anything about gluten
in Italy.
I don't know anything about
I don't believe in gluten.
I don't know nothing about gluten.
I have no basis for this. It's a question I'm raising in case any of y'all do. I think I would kind of observe the same thing. I feel like when I was in London and Paris and I was just at a random breakfast joint or coffee shop or restaurant, I felt like the equivalent was just slightly high. I thought it was a little bit higher. I could, marginally higher.
Maybe 10 or 15%.
Yeah.
Maybe.
But what I would like to know, and I don't know what y'all know about this, I was only in city cultures, places where tourists would be, stuff like that. Are there the deals and access to cheaper groceries and stuff that we have here? Like here you have Walmart, Supercenter, and Aldi and everything.
I went into a Lidl in Paris and it was super comparably priced to here.
Okay, and so they can go get their bulk ingredients.
Yeah.
And the cheap things.
I got a list.
They got Costco. Like
I don't know about no Costco.
Like, do they have access to cheaper?
Costco is one of a kind, dude.
Yeah, I feel like the warehouse like selling bulk has got to be a uniquely American thing.
And I'm pretty sure
They don't have
it's
the
widely
space-
known to be
They don't
like
have space for
the
that over there.
superstore.
They
doesn't
barely
exist.
have
Right, I
space
know.
for toilets.
I know they don't. So I guess I'm wondering, like, for the lower income people there, do they have the same access to cheaper food prices that we do here? I understand, like, the mid-range restaurant or the coffee shop or the whatever would be comparable to here, but our groceries,
That's.
I mean, it's a good question.
Yeah,
for
I don't
sure.
know.
I think
I'm looking at a list here of ingredients that are banned in the additives that are banned in Europe but allowed
Nice.
in the U.S. And yeah, it's a decent little list. Titanium dioxide, coloring used for Skittles, Starbursts. This one's interesting. Potassium bromate. It's an additive we put in flour to increase the volume of bread so that it's less crusty. And like Europe has great bread, right? To your point about does it ruin your flavor?
and they still have Skittles, don't
The
they?
bread's amazing. Over
I
there.
couldn't tell you about Europe's
They
Skittles.
still have Skittles,
Dude,
right?
it dyes shouldn't even be an argument. I'm telling you, it's so easy to get rid of dyes.
But are those comparable to obesity or more to like other potential problems?
They don't.
I'm
don't
really
contribute
what's
specific-
the obesity problem here? That
Yeah.
seems.
Well, we were talking.
I
about
also
food.
hate dyes.
We were talking about food in general.
we got into
I'm not-
processed stuff for sure. I think you're right.
I'm just trying to target obesity.
Right, and I don't know. I have a feeling that all of this contributes, in my opinion, just the way you see things with processed foods. But obviously,
their
calories in,
welfare-
calories out, right? So, like, what are we doing here? But
How does their welfare system compare? Do the lower income people there have a welfare system where they can get any type of food they want?
it's a good question, man. And that's
Yeah,
the reason
no
these
idea.
articles
we need to
exist
have
like this, dude.
Just push this to. This is such
Yeah,
a
this
good
is a
topic.
deep dive.
It's
Yeah,
it's a deep dive topic.
The
Huh?
reason
Yeah,
I had these links on deck is because I was planning obesity for one of my topics, but I wasn't there yet.
Well, I think
we should
we'll
all
touch
deep
on it.
dive on that.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
we'll touch on it several times, so we can have a big topic, obviously, about it. This will come back up for sure.
Yeah,
But yeah, Nolan, color dyes totally banned in Europe.
completely.
Yeah.
Yeah, 100%.
I'm with you on the dyes. I was just saying, like,
Yeah.
I don't know if
But
that's a contributor
to
to
your- to
obesity.
Jordan's
if I can
point-
wrap up.
Yeah, go
Sorry.
ahead.
No,
Yeah, all right, real quick. To Jordan's point, though, as I was reading through that list, most of these are like associated with reproductive harm, associated with cancer,
Yeah.
can't be excreted from the body. I've yet to find one that's like the link is to obesity. I'm still working through it. But
dyes are cancer risk mostly
Dyes are cancer.
from what I've seen.
Yeah.
They truly
full
are.
stop.
No, but if I could wrap this up, like I personally think if we're getting to what the root of obesity is, it's sugar, and sugar is an addictive substance that most American kids get hooked on at a very extremely early age. If you want to go all the way back to getting treats for potty training and all sorts of stuff like that. I don't know what other people do differently, but I think it's literally being programmed as kids that sugar is in everything and is the best thing in the world. It's candy, it's juices, it's
It's a reward. It's always a
literally
reward.
everything, and you're just programmed as a kid, both in the educational system, learning that bread is the base of all diets, which is insanity, and then all the candies and sugars in everything.
I think I agree with you that sugar is probably one of the biggest chunk, but I think you're oversimplifying it to say that it's the root cause, right? Because you have to look at sugar. I agree. You have to look at calorie denser, hyper palatable foods that are being produced. So that's what's leading to the chart we saw with calories per capita increasing. And you have to look at sedentary lifestyle, right? The calories we're expending dropping on the other end.
That's a big one that's different from Europe to here.
That's a very good point.
Yeah.
So to me, like, there's probably more, but to me, those are like three legs of the stool: sugar, sedentary lifestyle, and
Yeah, sugar.
what are
We
the
have,
other
we have a
ones
little
then?
running joke.
But who's we?
So yeah, I definitely agree with that, dude.
Yeah.
We hit it, man. I think I love this topic.
Wow.
We will definitely deep dive it
Hey,
later
we
for the
need to be on
listeners,
this
guys.
topic.
We'll be on it for sure, on it like a comet. But right now, we're gonna head out, and I think it's time that we see you guys later. So this is Against the Grain. Peace out, like a trout. Upstream like a dream. Toasty.